Hey, hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to the recap of The Last of Us. We're here live every week, and the last week for season one is today to
Yes.
discuss the latest episode. So you can catch our recaps at any time, available on most podcast platforms. Get new and past episodes for free in the app of your choice, including YouTube. If I can talk, let's continue. For those of you joining us live tonight, thanks for taking time out of your evening to be here. I am your host, Tamara, and I love a good TV show and a good book. So if you'd like to reach out to me, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at the Recap Pods. And if you're into books, you can also find me at Shelf Addiction. Joining me is show co-host Lisa. Welcome back, Lisa.
Hey, Tamara. Hey, everyone. My name is Lisa Orban. I'm an author. I'm also the founder of Indies United Publishing House, and I love all things pop culture. So if you'd like to connect with me online, you can find me pretty much anywhere at Lisa Orban Author or at Indies United Pub.
All right. So before we get started, we just like to remind you that we would love your participation in this conversation. So if you're listening live, leave us a comment in the chat. And if you're catching this on the replay, you can still leave comments or you can call in by using our voicemail link in the show notes. So we do want to hear from you and possibly include your comments in upcoming episodes. So don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you're listening. If you are new to the podcast, we are laid back in our review style, right, Lisa?
Absolutely, Tamara. This is a conversation, not a dissertation.
Yes, no scene by scene breakdowns here. We jump around. And of course, huge spoiler alert for the show. We didn't play the game, so we won't be spoiling that for you. But if you're cool with that, this is the place for you. And we should jump right on in to episode 9, the season finale called Look for the Light. Dun, dun,
Ooh.
dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes.
So, were you happy with the finale?
I was happy with the finale overall. I think so I watched it, last night.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna watch it again, but I just got too busy. So I think after I had a little bit of time to kind of settle in, I think I think it was a little rushed to the finish line. I'm like, well, they could have maybe made one more episode and fleshed it out a little more, but that's just me being a little critical. But
Yeah.
overall, I didn't really have any issues with it. What about you?
I will say that was like the fastest 42 minutes I think I've experienced here lately.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I mean, I'm just like, wow, we're done. And
Yeah.
because I mean, I think honestly, I think they could have fleshed it out a little bit more, I mean,
Mhm.
made it more closer to an hour. Um, but really, I mean, it moved. I mean, there was there's something going on pretty much every second. So they utilized every second of this episode. So I can't complain with that. And I did like the opening, where we got this, we got the flashback to, Ellie and her mom. And man, the actress they got to play Ellie, or Ellie's mom, she looks so much like her.
She does. And did you know she is the actress who voices her in the video game?
Yes, I did know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
I
so they
was
found
just
a way to get her in here.
Yeah, I was, I mean, I was really happy with that, and because at first I thought, did they flash forward? Is this Ellie? I mean, because it really was, that look, you didn't get a real good look at her face to begin with because she's running and her hair's in her face and stuff. But the contours of her face were really close to Ellie.
She does. They do look similar. And
Hmm.
the actress Ashley Johnson killed it. I mean, she is running, moaning in pain. She's
Hmm.
having contractions. I'm like, girl, that baby gonna fall out. And what
Oh, I know.
happened? That
And
baby damn near fell out.
it pretty much, well, it got popped out, I guess, is,
Yeah.
because when the fungus dropped on her, and then she
Hmm.
killed it and she looked down and the baby was there. So I guess that's one way to have a baby.
I mean, she was in so much, I guess, stress. She didn't even realize the baby was out.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh.
I will say, because I watched that scene, I rewound it and rewatched it again. And I don't know. I mean, I know she got bit on the thigh, but I really didn't see how it bit her. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because it seemed to
Hmm.
lunge for her face. But I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I missed something. And I also, and the fact that her name wasn't Ellie, when she was born, it was,
Well, She did say, "You effing tell him, Ellie," when she was holding her, and she
Yeah.
was crying bloody murder.
But when she was first born, she called her um Melanie. Melanie.
Melanie? Mm.
Yeah, I because I know this because I rewound it 3 times to make sure. And she called her Mel. I have a hard
Oh.
time with that word.
Yeah, I can tell, but it's all
It's
good.
it's kind of like cinnamon, for some
Uh-huh.
people. So Melanie, I'm
Oh,
like
so maybe Ellie is short for
for
Melanie?
that's what I'm
Mhm.
thinking. Either that or they, I don't know, they just called her that and she's never heard anything else because the only time you hear her is when she was first born
Mhm.
and her mom says that to her.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that there was a whole conversation about a name or not. So, but
Yeah.
I thought that was I mean, I really thought that scene, I mean, it was tense.
It was like shocking. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, she's like getting up those stairs. She's moving." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Wow."
Well, and she was expecting people there
Yeah.
too, because she's
Mhm.
calling out, "Hello, hello." And then she goes up to the second floor and she puts a chair under the door. I mean, she does everything she can.
Just
And
imagine if they were there, she probably wouldn't have gotten bit. They would have killed it before it got
mhm,
to her.
yeah. And then, so, Ellie is born. And the thing of it is at the time she really didn't know for sure whether she was bit before or after Ellie was born because, there was that moment where she was in labor and then she had the baby, but I don't think she knows quite when she had the baby.
Right. But I think she was so seriously sure when she was talking to Marlene
Hmm.
specifically because she thought Marlene probably would try to kill the baby if she
Right.
thought, right.
Exactly. If
Yeah.
they thought for a minute that the baby was infected.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and I don't think it was a really great idea for her to use the same knife that she used to kill the fungus to cut the cord.
Look, she was desperate. The only other thing she could have did is used her teeth.
Yeah, I know.
She didn't have
Um,
anything else, and everyone in the audience would be like, "Oh my god."
right. But the bad thing is because she did use that knife
Yeah.
and she used it without cleaning it off even. So the baby could have gotten infected just by the cord.
And she did. Well, we don't know
You know,
because it seemed like it was so quick, but you're right, using the knife probably,
didn't help things.
yeah, didn't help things. So she was trying to move fast. I get
Yeah.
it.
I
Yeah.
mean, and I understand because she was trying to sever her connection with the baby to try and, because I know that what she was hoping is that she was born before the
Mhm.
bite.
Mhm.
Um, but and again, there is a certain barrier protection between, the with the placenta. So I mean, which we obviously see, Ellie was kind of infected, but not really infected. And it wasn't activated until she was attacked. Prior to
Mhm.
that, they probably, I'm sure that they tested her multiple times because they test them all the time.
Right.
So it wasn't until she was actually bitten that the immune system she had kicked in.
Yeah, kind of activated with that.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah, that was wild. And that scene, after Marlena comes in, I keep saying Marlena, I'm thinking of the woman from Days of Our Lives, is
Yeah.
Marlene. She comes in and she's looking like, oh no. And Anna's telling her, you pick her up
Yeah.
and then you kill me. And she looks like she doesn't want to. She looks very in denial about it until she kind of orders her to do it. She's like, we've
Hmm.
been friends for how long? You're going to do this.
Right. For our whole lives.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a long time to be
That was a
friends.
long time. And can you imagine? That's got to be very traumatizing to kill your best friend,
Oh, yeah.
lifelong best friend.
Yeah. But I guess it's better than killing the baby and then our best friend. So,
Oh my gosh.
you
Like,
know,
yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, in the order of things. And
I mean, honestly, if I even thought the baby could have been infected, I would have been the person, I'm gonna give Hope a chance. I'm gonna wait until this kid turns before I do it.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna risk it and just I'm not gonna do it before.
right. Because while the mother was starting to show signs, the baby was
Mhm.
still appeared healthy.
Mhm.
And, of course, there's probably good thing it doesn't have teeth.
Right.
They find a wet nurse, that'd be awkward. Um,
Ah.
so, but then we go forward and we're seeing basically Ellie just staring off into space. And Ellie was really out of it the whole episode. If you think about it, except for the one time when she's looking at the giraffes, you know, uh, Joel had to call her name like 2 or 3 times,
Yeah, she's kind
and
of in
he
a
didn't.
zone still,
Yeah,
you know?
and so she's not really. I think she's processing her trauma,
Yeah.
and you can see, and it's funny because Joel has kept her at arm's length, and now he has embraced her as his as his daughter, and now she's just not there,
He's
and you.
doing everything he can to try to pull her kind of back, right? He's
Hmm.
talking to her, he's sharing stories, he's trying to, like, and really
you know
engage her in a way that he's never really done before.
Right. You don't want to play Boggle. You could really beat me at this game.
Mhm.
Hey, look, it's Chef Boyardee. I mean, just, the whole, there was all these little things, and you could see he was struggling because now that he's decided that, yes, I care for her. She is my daughter. And at the same time, because prior to that, the event of last episode, Ellie had been the one that kept reaching out and saying, "Hey, look at me." you
Mhm.
know, you're my protector. I care about you. You're the one constant in my life. And now she's just kind of, I think she's tired, and she's really kind of, I think she's gotten a little fatalistic.
Honestly, I think she just needs a beat, right? Like, she just needs a minute to catch her breath, I think. That was
Yeah.
very traumatizing. That had just happened to her literally.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's probably, I'm going to go with, it's been a couple of weeks or so, because they were in the middle of winter,
mhm.
and now it seems to be spring. And while they
Mhm.
are in Utah, and Utah doesn't get quite as much snow, you can snow in Utah. Um, so, I mean, it's probably been, at least probably a month, because Utah does get cold.
Yeah. But don't
Um,
forget, we can't forget the girl's like 14 years old. And that stuff weighs on kids in a
oh
different way
yeah.
than adults.
And I don't know that she's, I, I don't think she has actually talked to Joel about what happened, because generally on
Mhm.
the show they either have it as a flashback of the conversation, or they have the conversation.
Mhm.
And they didn't do that this time. It was all Joel confessions.
Right.
I tried to kill myself, and I failed.
Yeah.
Um, and he's talking more about his daughter, which is very unusual for him, because up until this episode, he really has been reluctant to say anything about her.
Yeah, I think, again, I think he knows he needs to do something,
Yeah.
and he's gonna have to give some things of himself that
Hmm.
are a little uncomfortable, but he's
Right.
gonna try, right?
Yeah, he's trying to reach out to her and connect to her, in a
Mhm.
way he's never tried before. And in some ways, it might actually even be making her a little uncomfortable, because after the attention she got from the cult leader, um and trying to process through that, Joel's change of behavior might be a little disconcerting to her as well.
Mm, maybe, but
Consistency, man. People
yeah, I
want
didn't feel that
consistency.
though. I felt like she kinda knew what he was doing, which is why, you know, when they get to she calls out where he wants to go, right? To
Hmm.
view scope out the scene, right? They get up there and he asks her, "So is it everything you hoped for?" And she's like, kind of replies in that same
Yeah.
manner. You can tell that I feel like she, it's a little cute callback to the second episode when they were kind of having that banter before.
Hmm.
But I do think she knows what he's doing, and I don't think she's bothered by it. I think she's
I don't think it's bothered in a way like it's, the saying is, people don't want nice. People want consistency.
hmm
And Joel has been very, very consistent in the way he talks to her and how he acts towards her and how he treats her. And you can see in this episode, it is very, very different.
it is.
And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's also a shifting of their relationship at a time that she's trying to deal with, something fairly traumatic. So,
But you know what we also don't get to see, because again, we come in and like you said, and maybe it's been a month, a couple weeks.
right.
We don't know. Maybe he's been taking a few weeks to warm up to her, and now he's at this point. He's been talking a little bit by little bit, and now they're here.
Yeah. And
You
that's
know?
very possible as well.
Yeah.
But, she kind of gives him these looks every once in a while, like, okay, like when he shows her the boggle, I mean, it wasn't that she didn't appreciate it, but she kind of gives him this little side eye.
Like you're
Okay.
you're being a little weird, but okay.
But
Yeah.
okay.
hmm
Um, but I think one of my favorite moments of this whole thing was when she goes nuts. Joel, you gotta get up here. And they're chasing giraffes.
That was the cutest scene. I'm like, wow, you just run into this random giraffe. How
Yeah.
cool.
And then when they get higher up, they can see that there's this herd of them.
Little family. Yeah.
There's probably like 20 of them out there in that field. And I'm obviously going to go with the zoo.
hmm
They escaped. Also makes me wonder what else is running around Salt Lake
Well,
City.
they've been out for a while. They probably had some more little giraffe babies and everything out there.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying if the
Yeah.
giraffes got out, what else got out?
Oh, a lot
Um,
of things probably.
I mean, there could be lions and tigers and bears. Oh my,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
But it was, and you can, because Joel had some understanding of, zoo animals, he's pulling the leaves and he's handing it to her. She's looking, what are you doing? Here, feed them, and I fed a giraffe and they're really cool. So yeah, their tongue, that giant tongue came out and she just started laughing. And I don't know, I thought that was just one of the
It was a sweet
bright
moment. She kind of broke out of her funk for a minute, in that moment. It was really
Mhm.
cute. Leave it to a cute animal to like bring joy.
Oh yeah, because like I said, I think the reaction would have been a little bit different if she came face to face with like a grizzly bear. That'd been a whole different thing.
Unless it's a baby cub, then it'd be so cute.
Yeah, except
So
there's
the
always
mother
a mama
comes.
around.
Yeah.
You know,
Mom
And
comes
so-
and tries to kill you.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But so and then and that moment of levity is you can see it. It's continuing on, and they're walking and talking, and Joel confesses some more, and then he's like, you know what I need? I need some puns. And
She's like, oh, I got jokes.
I got jokes, because she had admitted that the first person she killed, and now we know it was her friend. It was Riley.
Yeah.
So that answers that question.
Yeah, we were wondering last week, well, did she do
Mhm.
it or did someone else do it? So
Yeah, did
now
the
we know
Fireflies
she
do
did.
it? Yeah. And it was her. And so you can see that that's all been kind of weighing on her. And I think part of it is that the number of people that have died to get them to where they are.
Yeah, I think she's feeling a little hopeless. Like, like what is the point of my life, right? Like what I'm here to do one thing and we need to do that thing. Because even Joel's like, hey, we don't need to continue this. We can stop.
Right.
We can go back to Tommy's. We can, and she's like, no, hey, we've done all this. We've been through all of this. I know you want to protect me and you have, but we need to do it. And she's like,
Yeah.
I'll go wherever you want after.
Yeah.
The
And
ranch, the moon, wherever.
Because I think at this point she feels that she needs to pay it forward for everything that she has taken.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, and she knows that it wasn't her fault that she had to kill Riley, but that was her first love, her best friend, her confidant, and she had to kill her.
Yeah.
And then there was Joel's girlfriend. Again, she didn't kill her, but she died to protect Ellie.
Yeah. She was trying to protect her, and she felt guilt about that.
Right. So there's a there is a death toll that is stacking up to get them to where they need to be. And even the deaths of all the people there at, with the crazy cult wouldn't have necessarily died if they hadn't have run into Joel and Ellie.
Yeah, she had to kill a couple people.
Mm-hmm.
But
And the brutal way that she killed what's his name, David?
I think so.
The brutal way she killed him was just, probably now that she has the adrenaline is gone and everything else, there's probably a little bit of guilt for it. Not that she killed him, but the brutality of the way she killed him.
She probably didn't think she had that in her.
Right. I mean, if she had just killed him and walked away, that'd be one thing. But man, she just kept hacking at him,
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably a little hard for her to, because that was probably a brutality she didn't think she had.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then of course, then Joel, they're really sharing a lot on this trip. He confesses that he, like you said, he tried to kill himself, and I think the point of that whole, him telling her, was that he probably thought she was depressed and was wondering, what's my life worth, right? All
Right.
of this. And he's like, she goes, I guess time heals all wounds, I guess. And he's like, it wasn't time that did that. He's talking about you, Ellie. You healed that.
Exactly.
Not time.
Because there had been 20 years time and it had not healed.
Mm-hmm.
It's only been in, the last couple of months with him traveling with Ellie, and Ellie needing him, but not being completely dependent on him, I guess.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That she, and I don't even want to say that she's a substitute for his daughter, because I don't think he thinks of her that way.
No, she's a different daughter.
Yeah.
Right?
This is
not
his
a replacement daughter.
Right.
Yeah.
Not a replacement, but a second daughter.
Yeah. Right.
A second chance even.
Mm-hmm.
But not, he's not looking to her to replace the daughter he had.
Right.
But he wants to tell Ellie about his daughter, because now that his wounds are healing, he can talk about her. And this is probably the first time in 20 years that he's talked voluntarily about her.
Right. Absolutely.
So, that's a big deal.
It is a big deal. And I think she realized that, I think
which is why she told him about, that she had killed Riley.
She did. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So they get to, the little town. They make it, of course, a little smoke bomb thing goes off.
Right.
They're attacked. And of course, Joel wakes up and he's in a hospital room with Marlene.
Yeah. And Marlene is shocked. She's like, man, it took 550, whatever people, to get her there, and they all die. How do the two of you make it alone?
Right. She's like, well, and the way he reacts asking for Ellie, take me to her. I think she was also surprised of the connection that he had to her. She did not expect that of Joel, because the last time she saw him, he was like, this the package, I'll do it, fine,
there was reluctance.
So this is very different. She might not have even known how to deal with him like this.
Mm-hmm. Because she's like, oh, no, it's going to be fine. She's going to find the cure. And it wasn't until he's like, you don't understand. And then she got it. Ellie was no longer just the package.
Mm-hmm.
And this wasn't just a job, because, the first, she kind of flippantly said, you're the one person I never wanted to be in debt to, but, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
and I
she
think she,
proceeds to she goes off the rails. I think she did not approach him right with this at all.
oh
Um,
no,
because then after he's like, "Take me to her again," they get into it, and she's like, "I can't." She's getting ready for surgery,
hmm
and on the spot, she tells him what the plan is.
yeah,
Like, "Hey, the doctor thinks that the cordyceps have grown since birth, and they produce a chemical messenger, blah blah blah." And he's like, "But those are in the brain."
yeah.
Like, "Yep,
Well, and there was also the way she talked about it, though. They weren't certain. This was all speculation.
yeah." He thinks. He
He
thinks.
thinks it
Yes.
might, it could.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the fact that they just swooped her up and didn't even do any tests on her, just immediately took her into surgery. Um, does kind of make me pause a little bit because again, they are just making assumptions.
Right. They don't know.
They don't
And
know.
the fact that I was really surprised that Marlene was so quick to let that child go to her death, because they did the same thing that those people did in episode 1 with that child, right?
hmm
Oh, what if you could have a toy and you could eat your favorite food, whatever.
Right.
Ellie had no clue that she was going to her death. She did not know that's what it was.
Yeah, she didn't know. She didn't even know she was going into surgery.
No. So
She had
yeah, she
no
wanted to
idea.
help. She thought that was her mission, but she was not given all the information, and that is kind of like one of the points of contention between Joel and Marlene. Is like, she's like, "You can't make that choice for her," and he's like, "Neither can you."
Right. And
What?
because I mean, because Marlene basically, she's like, she has no idea what's happening. She's going to go peacefully in her sleep.
Yes.
There's no stress, and he knows what that. I mean, because again, like you said, that's exactly what they do. At the Fedra, whenever someone new comes in, if they're infected,
Mm-hmm.
they did exactly to Ellie what Fedra does to the infected.
Right.
And while it may be for a different purpose, is it any more noble?
No.
Because while Ellie may have voluntarily said, I want to do this, it should have been her choice.
Exactly. And honestly, she's so headstrong about it. If they had told her the truth, she might have been okay with it,
Right.
honestly.
Well, and
And
if they had waited and told her, and she was able to tell Joel, no, this is what I want,
mhm,
then I think Joel's reaction would have been different.
right.
He might have fought her, tried to fight her on it, but ultimately in the end, I think if she had stood firm and he knew that this is really what she wanted, um, I think with great sadness he would have
Accepted
capitulated.
it. Yeah. He
Um,
would have, yeah.
because he would have known that, and while he does know that this is what her, this she's been all about, let's cure, let's find the cure, let's find the cure. There's always been an after.
Right. After we do this, I'll go wherever you want, right?
Right.
She never thought death was in the plan.
Right. What do you want to do after? Let's go to the moon.
Yeah.
So she had all these plans, and he knew that she was willing to do this, that she was willing to become a test subject, but it had never entered into either one of their equations that it would require her to die.
Exactly. So I think, so of course, Marlene says, take him out of here. Take him to the road, the main road, whatever. Give him his bag. Don't kill him unless you have to, basically.
Which was dumb.
Yep.
I mean,
So,
again, they've made it all the way across the country by themselves, and she thinks that two guys taking him out,
again,
dropping him on the road.
underestimates him. Like, she thinks her guards are all of that in a bag of chips, and they aren't.
Well, no,
So,
because they all died getting her there.
yeah. Yeah.
So they and they don't have Joel's focus. He is going to save his daughter. They're standing posed. He's there to save his daughter.
Right.
And there was just no. And again, if they had not just swept him and Ellie up and just immediately taken Ellie to surgery, I think it could have been a different outcome. I mean, it might have been the same outcome if they had, if Ellie went, I don't think so, and they went, oh, we're doing it anyway.
Right.
Um, but Ellie could have voluntarily said, yeah, this is it. This is what my life is for. I'm okay with it.
Right.
They could have even explained, what their reasoning was, or actually did tests. As far as the only thing that Marlene said that they did was blood work.
Yeah.
And her, something in her system is making her think, is tricking the system to think that she's already infected.
I mean,
And
honestly, they could open her brain and find that there aren't any cordyceps in her brain.
right, it could be somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know where. I mean, for all we know, it could have been in the liver. Because it's not like they did any imaging or anything. They didn't do any exploratory surgery. They were just going straight for the brain.
Yeah.
And there's no indicator that it would have been there. Even if she did have a a response to it, the brain is not where you get an immune response. It's you get it from other parts of your body. So why wouldn't it have been maybe attached to that?
I don't know. And I don't even think it matters because it like
They were just
they're
going to dissect the body until they found
exactly.
something.
Exactly.
You know,
So
she wasn't a person anymore. She was a specimen.
exactly. And I just really was taken aback by how Marlene was so fine with it. She's fucking
Hmm.
fine with it. And she might have felt a little bit bad because that's her best friend's daughter, but not bad enough to do the right thing.
Well, because in her mind, if they could find it, then she could have the cure. She would be safe. Everyone there, all the fireflies would have been safe. She could have. She saw herself as, I could be the savior of humanity by
Yeah.
making this one sacrifice.
Yeah.
And
So,
she did, and she did say that this is a losing fight. We're not going to win.
yeah.
Although it did occur to me that if Ellie has children, they should have her immunity too.
Yeah, they might. They might have it. So,
Because
let me tell
things
you
like
when
that can
this
get transferred.
it can. When Joel, okay, so Joel's rescue mission did turn into a massacre. He killed a lot of
Oh yeah,
people.
he killed everyone
Yeah,
except for the
and
two nurses.
he was moving like someone who was in the military or something with precision, and he was moving fast, and he
Hmm.
was like not missing any shots, and he was picking up other people's guns. It was very video game-ish.
Yes, and I'm sure that's, and I do know, because after I watched the season finale,
Mhm.
um, they were showing the exchange, how it pans out on the video game, and it was really close.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Wow.
they kept out one. There was one segment that they kept out of the TV show that was in the video game, but it didn't really matter. It
Mhm.
was prior to them being picked up.
Mhm. Okay.
Um, so they basically, in the video game, they end up having to go underground to get around some obstruction, and bad things are in the water, and anyway, they get pulled out by the fireflies, and then knocked out.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
that's, I don't think that really counts, but that whole scene with him killing
Mhm.
Marlene, dead on.
Okay.
So they stuck really close to it. Now, if I had been him and I was killing everyone anyway, I'm not gonna lie, I would have killed the nurses too.
I wondered about that because okay, so the doctor, and that's a shame because you need a doctor, right? But if I were the doctor, I would have stepped back and let her take, let him take her.
Right.
Like you're gonna say, I'm not gonna let you take her. Fool, he has a gun. He will
Yeah.
shoot you, and he did.
Yeah. I've got a scalpel. Woohoo! I got a gun. Um,
Right.
and the reason I say, from Joel's point of view, it surprises me he didn't kill the nurses, because at that point, you don't want any witnesses.
Doesn't matter though. It's the Wild West out here. They
Yeah.
are a group that no one wants to, they don't want to be found. Who are they gonna tell?
Right. Um, well, if they come across Ellie, but not that they know that he's lied to her.
Yeah.
And but then, so he does his rescue, and then boy, they made it back to his brother's place really fast with that car.
Yeah. That's you get a car and wow, time flies. You're no longer walking 2 miles an hour or whatever, 6 miles an hour.
Exactly.
Oh.
I think he said that, the car died about 5 hours from the place. So they let's see, from Utah back to Montana is probably about a 10-hour drive.
So in the parking lot when he shoots Marlene, did that shock you? Like he was
No.
holding Ellie and like shot her with the gun that was
No,
under her legs?
because I knew he had that gun.
Mhm.
He had it tucked underneath her. He used it to push the buttons for the basement.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, because so while he left the nurses because they're whatever, Marlene, knowing of her existence, would never have stopped.
Mhm.
Would have
kept coming.
and bringing more people. And even if Ellie had not wanted to, cooperate, at that point, I don't think it really mattered to Marlene. She was looking at the ends justifying the means.
She was really almost, I guess, trying to guilt trip him because, she's like, you can't keep her safe forever. You can't, she'll grow up, you'll die, she'll leave. She's like running through the next 10 years of their lives really quickly, and
she's going to grow up. She's not always
Yeah.
going to be, yours. And he knows that. That's the whole point. Is that she is going to, that he's going to do everything he can to see her into adulthood and become an adult and have a life and a husband and children and, all those things that you're supposed to have. And he knows that unless something goes really sideways with the community, his brother's community, she can have all of those things.
Yeah. She can. So,
maybe not the husband part because, girlfriend anyway, but she could have a life, a good, fulfilling life.
Yeah, definitely.
And, so, and that's what's really motivating him, because his daughter, his actual daughter, his first daughter, didn't get that chance. And
her life was cut short.
And her life was cut short. And at around the exact same age, Ellie's life was going to get cut short by essentially the same people. So, he's not, I completely understand his reasoning. Now, I don't know that I would have lied to her, but I understand why he did.
I think, that's that thing where parents sometimes feel like their lies are for their, for the kids' own good. This is better for them. And I understand that, but at the same token, it's like, again, he forgets what kind of child he's dealing with.
Right.
And had he told her the truth, I think, yes, she probably would have been pissed, but eventually she would have seen that, I didn't really want to die. Thank you for saving me.
Right. Well,
and
I think the other part of the reason he did it was to spare her the additional burden of those deaths.
Even though it's not hers.
They're not hers.
Asleep. How can you take a burden of something you didn't even do? You weren't even conscious for it.
Right. But she has taken on the, and that was kind of like when they were talking before and her being spacey. She, and at the very end, she's like, Riley died and, and she starts making this list and he's like, this isn't your fault. So, she's been feeling the weight of the deaths of people who have died along their route. And even though it may not have been directly because of her, she's still feeling it.
Well, he told her, she asked, basically, are people okay? What happened? A lot of people died. And he didn't lie about that.
Right.
He didn't say I killed them all, but he's like, yeah, something happened and we had to get out of there.
Well, there's a difference between I killed all those people for you, and raiders randomly came upon them and killed this group, and I saved you.
Yeah. It's a
that
big difference, true. But
there's a big psychological difference between those two statements.
but that's the thing. Let me just say, when Ellie kind of like stares in him in his face and she's like, tell me the truth. Swear to me everything you said about the fireflies is true. And he says, I swear. I knew with the look on her face that she didn't believe him. She
Yeah.
chose she chose to believe him, kind of knowing that that wasn't the truth, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I definitely got that too.
Uh-huh. And
You
it's like
know,
a choice. You're like, okay, this is my father figure, I care about him. Obviously, he's not crazy. He wouldn't have just done, you know what I mean? Like, so I think she's
mhm,
thinking all these things like there must have been a reason, but I'm not. I'm choosing to accept this answer.
right.
Mhm.
So I mean, going into season 2, we're going to see where the relationship has ended or landed at the um and and the thing of it is even if she has consciously decided, okay, I'm going to trust him, those seeds of doubt can grow.
Yeah,
So
I don't think she I don't think she would feel like he was trying to do harm to her through deceit, but
no.
I think that I don't know, honestly, it will be interesting to see how this story evolves and if they even address it at all. And if they do, is it going to be in passing? Because from what I understand, we're going into season 2 at a time jump, like by
Mhm,
years, like
right.
5 years. So are we going to
Yeah.
get flashbacks of how that was dealt with? Are we going to get side conversations of how that was dealt with?
My
Or
guess is a mix of all of the above because they're really good at the flashbacks. I mean, they do good flashbacks.
yeah.
So, my guess is we'll probably get a little bit of flashback. We'll get some conversation, that's, you know, presently relative, um, you know, relatable, relative.
Mm,
No,
relevant.
relevant. Sorry.
Yeah.
I got to
Okay.
tell you, the whole time change is just really screwing with my brain. Um, and relevant.
Right.
And yeah, so but yeah, I think it's probably a subject that's going to get touched upon, even if it's just, you know, I wonder what could have happened.
I wonder what could have happened, like if he had told me the truth,
Well,
type
no,
of
that
thing.
if because she has no idea what they were going to do. Um,
Right. I mean,
could things have
unless
been? Could things, with a little more time to study me, could they have fixed something, found something?
look, the only way she's gonna find out what really happened is if Joel himself tells her. Everyone else is dead except those nurses. And what's the likelihood she's gonna run into those 2 nurses?
It's hard to say.
So,
You know, it is a video
honestly,
game. Who knows?
and if
Uh,
anything, there's not gonna be a point of contention with her and Joel unless he tells her the truth.
right. And at this point, there's no one to even do the surgery or the research, as far as we know. He was the last doctor.
Yeah.
I mean, because immunology is, it's a specialist field,
Yeah.
and we're talking, by the time we do the time jump, if it is brought up, I mean, we're talking 25 years since the fall. So, classically trained doctors at that point are, they're either dead or dying.
Yeah, and of obviously the doctors that were working on things at the beginning probably are just so old, they're not
Yeah,
working like that anymore if they
right.
even still are alive.
Because I'm pretty sure, because why why go to Utah? Why not to the CDC in Georgia, or why not to any of the major um, research facilities they have scattered throughout the United States?
You're
They're
assuming
in
those still exist.
right, but that's what I'm saying. If these doctors existed, if these facilities existed, they would have existed in those places, not Utah.
Yeah, I mean, because we don't know where, Marlena's group got this guy from,
Hmm.
and we I don't think Marlena even or Marlene, why I keep calling her Marlena? I need to stop that. Marlene, I don't think she even I think she might have guessed she might have had some immunity, but she wasn't for sure until she got bitten.
Yeah.
And we know that they found her pretty quickly, right? So
Hmm.
by the time that she left and from the time she was bitten, it was only like a couple of days or a couple of weeks or something
Hmm.
at that. So that means, did you find that doctor like in a couple weeks?
Right. Well, and here's the other thing. I mean, that doctor wasn't really that old.
Right.
I mean, you would assume that since it's been 25 years that the doctor would be 50, 60 years old by that time. And this was got, he looked like he was in his 30s.
So this is a doctor that was not trained in a medical school.
Right.
He was trained by some other doctors,
Hmm.
hopefully.
Hopefully. Read a lot of books. I don't know. Well, and I also thought when Marlene says, I've been with her since she was born, I do understand. And I don't think she does because Ellie didn't even know she existed.
She wasn't with her. She
She
just put
wasn't.
her in a school
And
and left her.
she may have occasionally kept an eye on her, and that may have been why, when Riley says, "Can she go with me?" she said no because she wanted to keep her close. But Ellie didn't know she existed.
No.
This woman, Riley has never told her about her birth, about what went on with her mother. The only person on earth right now that, well, and now she doesn't even exist, that could have given Riley her story or Ellie her story, chose not to.
Yes, exactly.
So what does that say about Marlene?
That says she's a shitty person.
Yeah.
That says she did the bare bones minimum to watch her best friend's daughter.
Yeah. She could have made, checked up on Ellie. She could have, approached her as she got a little older and said, I was, I brought you to the orphanage. I was your mom's best friend.
She could have been like an aunt figure to her.
Exactly. She
Yeah.
could have.
Mhm.
Even before she started even before she was with the Fireflies.
Yep.
Or if she was with the Fireflies, she still could have found a way because she was, obviously she could get in and out of places. So yeah, the fact that she just completely ignored her and Ellie had no idea who she was until they gathered her up and held her hostage for several weeks, and that was a contentious relationship. you know so yeah, I don't really, I don't have a lot of sympathy for Marlene's motivation. I don't think there was anything good or pure about them, and I don't think she really felt anything for Ellie.
She
I
didn't.
really don't.
She didn't feel anything for her. Nothing.
Yeah,
I think
I
she felt
mean,
maybe a little bad that that's what had to happen,
yeah,
but oh well.
right. It's a damn shame, but and that's it. I don't think she had never developed a relationship with Ellie. She
Right.
didn't travel with Ellie. She could have traveled with Ellie, but she didn't. And she didn't. She never had a bond with her. She never reached out to her. No, she wasn't. She was nothing. Ellie was really nothing to her until she became something. And it
Right.
was
Now you're
only
something that we need to do
right.
because we
Now
gotta
you're
save
valuable.
yeah, we gotta
Before you
save
were
humanity.
expendable. And she's only valuable until she's expendable,
Yeah.
to her. So yeah, you know, and I don't blame Joel one bit for the way he reacted, because if I had gone through all of that to save one person and not even being allowed to say goodbye to her or to make sure this is what she wanted or anything, just, oh, here's your bag, we're kicking you out the door, thanks a lot.
I mean, honestly, like, even if I didn't get close to her in a maternal way, right? If I was
Hmm.
looking after her and I didn't feel maternal about her, I still would have tried to save her, because I'm like, there's no way you're just going to kill her without her knowing what she's doing. Like, that
Right.
is crazy. She deserves to know what she's doing for
But it's
you.
peaceful this way. She won't even know
No.
what happened to her. Oh, bullshit. I mean,
Uh-uh.
that is a coward's way.
I feel like you can't do that to someone without consent. You just can't.
Yeah. And I do realize that in this reality, consent is a thing that has long been forgotten
Yeah,
on
clearly.
multiple fronts.
Yeah.
And I think Fedra, even though they're supposedly fighting against Fedra, there's really not a whole big difference between Fireflies and Fedra.
Yeah, they
Not
kind of just
really.
do what they want, whatever.
Right. I mean, because the Fireflies, have killed innocent people. They accept, acceptable losses, and being in the wrong place at the wrong time to hurt Fedra. They're okay with militant tactics.
Seems like
And
they don't have a code, they don't have, it's anything goes.
right. They're it's guerrilla warfare. And if they really wanted to make a difference, instead of fighting Fedra, they should have done, what Joel's brother did, or Joel's community did, which is set up a new community, get people out. That's the way to deal with it, because Fedra's not leaving their encampments. So if they could start, smuggling people out and taking them to these
Other places.
places, like Joel's brother's community, then that right there is the solution to the problem. But I don't even know why they're fighting for these cities that are dying anyway.
Yeah, it's not really clear what the end game is for that group as a whole.
I don't think I mean, and they seem to be nationwide, but every place that the Fireflies have overturned Fedra, they're either just as bad, or it's just utter chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Which tells me that they don't have a plan. They're just Fedra bad. Okay, great. What are you planning on doing? Fedra bad. Okay, you have to have more than Fedra bad. You have to have a plan, and I don't think now she
See,
has
the
a
thing
plan.
is, to build or to fix, I know sometimes you have to break some things, right?
Right.
But if you're just going around breaking things and you don't know how to build anything, then what's it for?
Exactly. And as scattered as these Fireflies are across the continent, why can't they just start siphoning off people and taking them to these remote locations? There's really no, I mean, Joel and Ellie, with a car, managed to make it pretty damn far before the car broke down. And if they have, supply dumps and everything else along the way, they could have a fairly safe corridor to get people from one place to the next,
I
if
do
they chose to
wonder
do so.
I do wonder if in season 2 the Fireflies will be more of a bad
Threat.
yeah, like bad group. Cuz like right now I feel like they're not good, but they're not like evil either. They're just
Right.
kind of, we don't know what they are.
Well, and Ellie, we know from the flashback that Ellie didn't think highly of the Fireflies.
No, she thought they were like terrorists.
Right. And so she's kind of had this shift a little bit, because they told her that they could save all of humanity. But at the same time, considering the tactics that they used on her, they're Fedra, light a little bit, but they're no better.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think if Ellie had been awake and had a choice, I don't know that she would have chosen to do that, or she might have. I don't know. I mean, because she was looking for her purpose, and I know that she was dedicated to this. She thought that this was her one purpose in life, and if she couldn't fulfill it, she might have thought dying for this was the fulfillment of her purpose. And
Or
that's very possible.
Honestly,
But
I feel like we could have been told already that there is no way to make a vaccine. Was that episode 3 where we were in that other country and that one doctor who has studied infectious diseases was like, "What vaccine? You can't make a
right,
vaccine."
now,
Maybe that's just as simple as that.
and it could be, I mean, and it could be that they are only hopeful that she could provide a cure. This is their, Hail Mary pass, because they've never had someone like Ellie, or at least no one knows of anyone like Ellie. But there
I'm
could
sure
be
she's not
more.
the only one. Yeah, there could be more. Very few, I'm sure, but there could be.
There could be more.
Yeah.
And, and we don't know if it only works at, if you're so far along, or, right before birth or right after birth or anything. We don't know the parameters of it, but in theory, there could be more of her. And there could be, they might not be activated like she is because they haven't been attacked. We don't know.
Mhm.
So it's, but again, the idea that they really don't know, because this is a fungus. So funguses are very different from bacteria and viruses. And there's no guarantee that there would be a cure. There's a hope, but no guarantee.
Yeah, we
And if,
don't none of that is guaranteed, and that's what made it even more ridiculous to Joel. Like, what?
well, and if it's in her brain, but it's producing something, there's technically no reason why they couldn't take her blood and refine it from her blood to, because basically they were saying it was more or less like cowpox. They used to cure smallpox by giving people a small amount of cowpox to activate the immune system without actually infecting the person.
Mhm.
So in theory, her blood could be processed to do the same thing.
Yeah, in
I
theory.
don't understand why they feel that they have to get to something in her brain. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. But they just it's not perfect, right? The theory of what they were trying to do doesn't really hold water, if you start
Well,
looking at things scientifically and, what's what.
yeah. I mean, and it's possible, since they had Ellie captive for several weeks, and she did, I mean, and they were taking her blood. It may have been to see if they could find some kind of a immunity, for it, with it.
Yeah,
And
were
they
they just
failed.
doing a positive or negative test on her? I don't know.
Yeah.
We
Well,
didn't
no,
get
because
a whole
a
lot.
positive and negative test was just that machine.
Right.
But they were taking her blood.
Maybe if we had seen a little more from that side of things, but that's
Hmm.
what makes me feel like, does it even matter? Because the I don't know if the video game show that or if the TV show just decided it's not important, right?
I don't think the video game did show anything that
Mhm.
they did to Ellie prior to, while they had her captive.
Yeah, or even spend any time with the Fireflies, like, separately, we could have I know that Joel and Ellie are the focus, right? But if they
Hmm.
wanted to enlighten us a little bit about the theories they were going, the plans they had, the things they were doing. But that's why I think ultimately it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It didn't happen.
I mean, and we do know that Marlene did tell Ellie something. She whispered some stuff in her ear that they never expanded on throughout the rest of the series. We don't know exactly what she said to Ellie, other than "you're
Mhm.
special."
Right, exactly.
Um, so we don't know what it was that she told her or anything else. But it must have been pretty inspirational, because she went from to okay, you know.
Yeah. Well, I guess maybe she didn't understand that when she healed, that meant she was immune. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
she didn't understand what that meant till someone told her.
Right. And
Yeah.
and I can see that, because in this reality, no one is immune.
Mhm.
And she has no idea why she might even be immune, because she has no idea the circumstances of her birth.
Mhm.
So, which again could have been imparted upon her, but no.
Yeah, she could have told
Marlene
her.
Marlene decided to take that to the grave with her, and there's no one else to share it with. She'll never know.
Yeah, I think honestly, this show could have given us one more episode. They could have did 10 episodes. They could have taken one more episode to just like fill in a couple of gaps, even through flashbacks or however they wanted to deal with it. Um, if you want to nitpick it, right?
Right. But overall I was really happy how they put it together.
Yeah. I
I
think also the ending though, I feel like I was okay with it because I know there's season 2 coming,
mhm.
but I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily call that a cliffhanger, but I guess they could have left it there, honestly. If they didn't get a season 2, they could have left it.
Yeah. Well, and I because they've known since almost the second episode that they were going to get greenlit for a second episode or for a second season.
Right, but
So
it's
if
done by then. By the time you're playing episode 2, that whole thing is done.
right, but if they didn't get renewed, they could always go back for post production and put it in an extra 15 minutes or something.
Mm.
Other shows have done it. So there's nothing to stop them from going back and saying, okay, we're going to give you a little more. And it wouldn't have taken a whole lot. So, but since they did know that they're getting the second season, I think they were, pretty satisfied with the ending.
Yeah. So I don't know for sure if the end of season 1 was the end that the video game had as well.
It is.
It is okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, I did watch the ending of they showed the whole video game ending, and it's not one where you make choices. It's just this is the ending.
Okay.
So yeah, that I was just curious to see if there was any deviation, and there really wasn't. Just like I said, that one missing scene in the subway.
Right. So it literally ended with her saying like okay to Joel.
Yep.
Okay.
That's how it ended.
All right, that's good to know. I feel a little bit better about it.
Yep.
Like I said, I liked it. We've been singing this show's praises all season. So,
yeah. And I'm all excited about the second season. I can't wait to see what they do.
yeah, I'm very curious about it. But time will tell. Time will tell. Yeah, I just gotta wait and see, I guess.
Yep.
Because I'm not playing any video games. And I'm not gonna play the second game. I'm not gonna look anything up. I'm not gonna try to spoil anything. I'm just gonna wait and see.
Yep. Pretty much. I mean, we'll get trailers and stuff as it gets closer, and I'll watch those.
Yeah, but that's like far off though.
Right. That's a while because it's next year.
Yeah, maybe summer next year, maybe if we're lucky.
So, because as I understand it, they're already into filming the second season.
Oh, really? I just thought they were still writing. They're filming?
Nope. They're because the actress that plays Ellie made the comment that she really enjoyed being back with everyone and spending time with Joel again.
Oh.
So yeah, I mean, I could have misinterpreted it, but from the way it sounds, that they're back on production.
Okay. Okay, I missed that. I did not realize they were filming already. That means they wrote that pretty quickly.
Well, I mean, they've got the whole video game, so it's probably
4 days ago. It says 4 days ago. This article says they are in pre-production. It's unclear when they will begin filming, but pre-production could be table reads.
Mm-hmm.
It could be,
yeah, and it didn't. She didn't say that they were. She just said that it was good to be back with him.
Mm-hmm.
And spending time with the people on the show. So I put together they were probably getting ready to start things or had started.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the interview was yesterday. I think it was yesterday.
Okay, so the first season, just out of, just FYI, they filmed the first season from July 21 to June of 22. So that was almost a full year of filming for season 1.
Okay.
So and then what, another 6 to 8 months to release, for editing
Yeah.
and all that cinematography stuff. So even if they started now, this would not be out.
Till late next year at
Yeah.
the earliest.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay, well, we shall see. And you guys, I think we're done. What do you think, Lisa?
I think so.
Okay, so we're gonna not be around for a while.
We'll
But
be
be sure
back
to
with
go ahead,
we'll,
Lisa.
we'll be back with Fear the Walking Dead.
Yeah, so whatever month that airs, was it May?
I believe. I think it was something like 80 days out,
Yeah,
60 days
so
out, something.
don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss when we come back. Because we're just gonna talk about more zombies.
Yeah.
A different kind, yeah. So yeah,
We
thanks
do
for
all the
listening.
zombies. Yeah.
I know, all the zombies. So thanks for listening to today's episode. We appreciate you for being here, and we will catch you in the next one. Until then, take care of yourselves. Bye, guys.
Bye bye.